Okay. I just did a whole like monologue, it seemed like, and my phone was not recording me. So anyway, I just wanted to talk about some lighthearted shit today because the world has been pretty dark as of late. I don't know what sounds good. Anyway, um, while I've been having some downtime and just trying to get back to my little like quarantine routine, I started binge watching stuff on Netflix. And if you don't know, Naya Rivera passed away this month. Yeah, it's July. Naya Rivera was on Glee. She played Santana Lopez on Glee, and Glee is a show that I grew up watching. I remember I think I was a sophomore in high school. I remember the exact place I was at. I had watched the pilot episode on Fox, I believe, and for some reason I was watching it in my older brother's room. And I remember thinking, like, oh my God, this is such a good show. I love singing, I love choir, and I was super excited. And then I had to wait like months for it to get picked up. And I think that was like the first time I got introduced to what a pilot episode was and like what the meaning of that is. So I was annoyed, but I was immediately hooked. And so Naya Rivera played one of the best characters on that show, Santana Lopez, like the only Latinx person on there, or I should say Latina. Okay. For anyone who will like curse me out for butchering how to pronounce that, I just say Latinx because the non-Spanish speaking people sometimes don't understand when you pronounce things with an accent. Anyway, so the actress Naya Rivera, who played Santana on Glee, had gone missing. She had taken her son out for a day at the lake in Lake Piru. And I guess they didn't anchor when they went for a swim. She didn't have her life vest. Whatever the case was, she ended up drowning and saving her son's life. So that was like horrible. And that had a lot to do with like me just not caring about shit and just staying home, not getting ready, not wanting to do things. So I was just like super sad because when the first actor from Glee died, I was actually in basic training. This was in 2013. So I didn't find out this was Corey Monteith until like a few days later because my friend had seen a news thing about it when she had gone to talk to one of the drill sergeants. So like I missed out on that. And then the second death was the fucking pedophile. So we don't care about him. Like I was actually happy when he killed himself because he had gotten caught with child pornography and he pled guilty and he had like ruined lives of children as young as like 3 years old. So he was sentenced and then he killed himself after being sentenced. So he's a loser. We don't care about him. We don't give him any credit. We don't honor him at all when speaking about Glee cast members. But then Naya had passed, and that was like weird because recently my friends had been saying like, oh, you can sound like her. I bet you do good impressions of her. My friend Bex was like, oh, do Santana impersonations. And for some reason, like I had like been hearing about her more lately. And this wasn't usual because Glee has been over for probably like 4 or 5 years now. So it was just kind of eerie. Anyway, because of her death, I decided, you know what, I'm going to go back and finish binge watching Glee because I had seen all of Glee from the pilot episode until it ended in about 2014 or 2015. And then I guess when it hit Netflix in 2018, I started to binge watch it with my husband because he had never seen it before. And then for some reason, we just kind of fell off. So I went back to binge watch it again because I'm like, oh my God, Naya, you know, like you just want to like remember the good moments. Like there's a lot of nostalgia. A lot of my adolescence revolves around Glee because I was a sophomore in high school when it started. And I went back to watch it. And the episode I left off on was actually the episode where it's like all revolved around Santana, Naya's character, coming out on the show. So we're not really going to talk about any of that sad stuff today, but I just wanted to like give a little backstory on why I'm suddenly talking about Glee so much. If anyone follows me on Twitter or even Instagram, I always post like stories of iconic scenes in Glee. And yeah, that's why, because I was like, well, let's finish. And then I picked up season 4, that episode. And it was actually the really, 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 really sad episode where I just said we weren't going to talk about anything sad like that. But just really quickly, it was Corey Monteith, the one who died in 2013 from a drug overdose, talking to Santana, Rivera, and saying like, oh, you know, I care about you. I wouldn't be able to live with myself if something happened to you and I wasn't there to protect you. And I was just like, oh my God, like what are the odds that this is this episode when I'm going back to the show because of Rivera's passing? And obviously, he had died like 7 years before her. I don't know why I'm crying. Okay. So he had died, and then she went missing, and her body was found. Obviously, she had drowned because he wasn't there to protect her, right? So I finished from season 4 to season 6, and that was all of the Glee series. But then, if you know who Artie and Tina are from Glee, they're best friends in real life, and they actually have a podcast together, and it's called Showmance. And I started to listen to their podcast. It was like before they really had any, I guess, theme. It's called Showmance, the Glee recap series, and they're new, not their new one, but one of their seasons on it, they had started this like series where they go through the episodes of season 1 and they watch them at home, and then they come back and they will do a breakdown of the episode. They'll talk about their memories from it. They'll talk to other cast members they have on the show. They've had producers, writers, even just some fans who, you know, want to ask all the good questions. And it's just like, I love it. I love it so much. I listen to the podcast every single day. I listen to it while I'm working. And then this weekend, since I decided to like, you know, just hold off on working until everyone was asleep, I was like, you know what? Since I finished the series, I'm going to go back and I'm going to start from season 1 and follow along the podcast, because they, like I said, I had picked back up in season 4 like a few days ago, and that's where I finished because I never had finished binge watching it the first time from 2018. So I'm like, you know, I remember every episode, but not in detail the way they're talking about it. So I decided to actually go back and watch season 1 along with them and then listen to each podcast. And it's so good. And there's so much stuff that like I didn't catch because 1, I was young, 2, because of the times, and 3, because I was just like ignorant. Like as a society, we were extremely ignorant back then. And what I've noticed about Glee is, 1, it's extremely problematic, and there's no denying that. But 2, it was ahead of its time. And I feel like the reason it was problematic was because it was ahead of its time, so much so that maybe the writers and the cast just didn't know enough about the topics that they were tackling at the time. So it made a lot of like problematic jokes, inappropriate jokes. There was a lot of misinformation on there, and even the actors say like a lot of the shit would not slide in 2020, but it's a 10-year difference. So it's fun to go back and see like how we were back then versus now. So jumping into this, like I haven't just had a huge 20-minute monologue. I want to start talking about one of the things I notice now that I didn't notice back when I was watching it in high school. And if you've seen Glee, you know Mr. Schuester is the Glee Club teacher, and he's married to his high school sweetheart. Her name is Terry. She is a bit, everyone calls her psycho, crazy. I don't know if there's any problems with her. I know they do say she ends up going to counseling in the season. But what happens is they've been together for a while. She wants to start having a family. She wants him to make better money so they can support the family. And she thinks she's pregnant. So they do things to prepare for that pregnancy, right? Well, it turns out that maybe she had fertility issues. And this is another thing. I'm like, everyone was painting out her to be so crazy. But now I'm like, I don't know what women with fertility issues go through. Like, you never know how crazy it could make them. So I'm kind of annoyed that we didn't dig into that, but it's Glee. Like, teenagers wouldn't have understood, because clearly I didn't catch it until now. But she was made out to be the villain, and her husband was flirting with another teacher at work like every single day. So it annoys me that we saw her as the villain because she was the crazy wife, but he was emotionally cheating on his wife at work with a coworker, and we saw them as like victims because especially the coworker that he had was like this virgin, really sweet, innocent lady. But was she really sweet and innocent if she knew that he was married and she was still trying to get him while he was married? Not to take any blame away from him because he's a loser and just let his wife look like the villain when he really wasn't taking care of shit at home and he was prioritizing his pipe dream over his wife and soon to be child. So anyway, his wife had fertility issues is what I'm assuming, and the doctor told her she had a hysterical pregnancy. I don't even know if that's true. It's probably made up, but she could get a false positive or have false symptoms of being pregnant because she wants to be pregnant so badly, and maybe the stress is causing those symptoms. So she was like heartbroken when she found out that she actually wasn't pregnant. But I guess she felt like her marriage needed the baby because her husband was just not giving her what she needed, or I don't know. I don't know really what would make someone fake a pregnancy, but I just know that maybe the issues that she has was making her go a little crazy, for lack of a better word. And I'm not going to say I really blame her because her husband was being a piece of shit behind the scenes. So I am super, super, super annoyed that we saw her as the villain, and the writers persuaded the audience to see her as the villain. And yes, she should not have faked a pregnancy and lied to her husband, but also her husband shouldn't have been emotionally cheating on her, shouldn't have been flirting with a bitch at work every single day, shouldn't have, like, he was neglecting her. I mean, I know people are like, but she's crazy though. Like, he was also with her for at least 10 years because in this time they were like in their 30s, I want to say, and they were high school sweethearts. No, so they were together for like 20 years. If he felt like she was crazy in his eyes, he could have left a long time before trying to get her pregnant. But of course, he's made out to be like the poor guy that was lied to, and we just have to feel bad for him. But she was right. I mean, I side with his wife because he was a teacher, but like, how much money was he making? And what kind of lifestyle did he promise his wife? And why did he care about the Glee Club so much? And that was only because his little dream about being famous and being on Broadway never happened. So he had to live vicariously through those children. And that's why he would spend money behind his wife's back. Even in the show, it's like, oh, I have to pay for this for the Glee Club. I have to make sure that my wife doesn't see that I'm paying for this. Like, in a normal marriage, in real life, we would be like, what the fuck? Why are you spending money behind your wife's back? Like, knowing that she'd be upset because they allude to the fact that they're struggling financially. So he's a piece of shit for doing that kind of stuff. Yes, she's shitty for other reasons, but like, maybe they're equally shitty. I don't know. Anyway, that's just my view on all that. Also, I want to point out, now that I'm a parent, there are a few standout supporting characters in this show that I appreciate so much. And I'm about to get emotional, but I'm just thinking about their scenes, and like I get emotional when they have certain scenes. Number one, that is Finn's mom, Carol. Oh my God. First of all, she's a single mom because her husband died. And you find out later, sorry if you've never seen it, here are some spoilers. You find out later that his dad was a veteran and he thought his dad died like in combat, but he actually died of a drug overdose. Which is really sad because that was something that like ended up being foreshadowing. I don't know why I can't think. Sorry, it's like 2 a.m. here. But that was kind of sad and creepy because Finn, the actor who played him in real life, ended up dying of a drug overdose. So it was like really sad that his dad died of one in the show. And his mom was a single mom. And every time she had a monologue, she just always seemed to have something like very important to say. And she just brought me to tears. Also, Kurt's dad. Kurt is the gay character of the show, and his dad is a single dad. His mom died when he was 8. I can't remember what she died of, but it's just been Kurt and his dad for his entire life, basically. And his dad is Midwestern, like what I would call a yeehaw. He's not like super country, but he's like a burly man wearing flannel and owning like a mechanic shop, tire shop. I can't remember what he owns, but he's just very rugged compared to his son. And they have like a don't really talk to each other kind of relationship. Like he makes good money. He gives his son everything he wants basically. And they just kind of like do their separate thing within their household. And when Kurt ends up coming out as gay, you would expect him to flip out and be like the typical Southern Midwestern conservative like father and freak out, kick him out, or like talk shit to him, or act like, you don't believe in it. I don't know. You just would expect like a negative response from him, especially this was filmed like in 2009, I want to say. But his dad is just like, oh, I know. Like, I've known since you were 3. And he explained that, like, he just wanted to let him take the lead because, kids don't know who they are. And who are you to tell them who they are? So even though he suspected he was gay, he just waited until Kurt told him. And all of his scenes with Kurt addressing like Kurt being gay, those bring me to tears. But also he ends up being a father figure for Finn later in the show, and oh my God, when he talks to him about like his dad and stuff, those bring me to tears. After Corey Monteith dies in real life and they kill off Finn in the show, he and his wife, which is Finn's mom eventually in the show, they just have a lot of great emotional scenes that like bring me to tears, and I love them so much. Like they're super underrated because they're not the main cast, but I still appreciate them. So what else? Okay, I don't want to go like too much into Glee stuff because it's like, if you've never seen Glee, you might be lost. But this is just kind of like drama that I picked up. I don't even know if it's drama, but this is just me being a gossip. Like, that's why I won biggest gossip for senior superlatives when I was a senior in high school. Anyway, so I had heard that when Naya Rivera died, Gwyneth Paltrow? Yeah. She was saying something nice, and they were saying that Glee was going to do a fund for Leah's son. I don't know why I'm saying Leah. Anyway, they were saying that there was going to be like a college fund made for Naya Rivera's son. And Gwyneth Paltrow was like leading it, I guess. And I was just like, why? Because she was just like a reoccurring guest star on the show for some episodes. And they were saying like she and her husband were donating the money or starting the fundraiser. And I was like, what do you mean her husband? Like, I thought her husband was Chris Martin, you know, the lead singer of Coldplay. I was saying it like coleslaw. But they were like, yeah, her husband, Brad Falchuk, and her are donating money. And I was like, Brad Falchuk? So this is where it gets juicy. Okay, when the first season of Glee happened, I believe it was the first season, Gwyneth Paltrow, I hate her, I can't say her name, whatever, Goop, Mama Goop, she was a guest star on the show, and Brad Falchuk is one of the co-creators, writers, producers, directors of Glee. Then I was like, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I was like, they got together because she was on Glee so many times. And I was telling my husband, like, I don't like that co-worker relationship. No, ma'am. I was like, she was probably married when she met him, and they probably had an affair. And he's like, you can't just assume they're having an affair. I'm like, yes, I can. So, me being the investigator I am, the Gemini sun with the Virgo moon, meaning my mind is going all day and all night, and I'm always investigating things. I went and investigated the timeline of Gwyneth Paltrow's marriage to her husband, Chris Martin. And it said they were together from like 2002 or 2003 until 2016, I want to say. So I was like, that's funny, because Glee started at around 2008 or 2009 filming, and it didn't wrap until 2015. So she would have been married to her husband, Chris Martin, from the entire time Glee ran. And she was on Glee all those times with Brad Falchuk. And you're just going to tell me that, like, not until she got a divorce from her husband did they decide, oh my gosh, we're attracted to each other, let's start talking in that way. No. I don't believe that for 1 second. Okay? She got married to Brad Falchuk in 2018, and her divorce was finalized in 2016. So do you think for 6 years of Glee being a thing, she just didn't talk to or acknowledge Brad Falchuk in that way? No, they had a showmance. They had a little something in my eyes, but I'm right, and I know I'm right. Then I was looking into it a little bit more, and I had seen one of the Coldplay fans, I guess. I don't know what the fans are called, but I looked it up on Twitter, and they mentioned, oh yeah, this album that Chris Martin wrote was so good because it was after his wife cheated on him. And I was just like, I knew it. Okay, maybe she didn't cheat on him. I don't know if she did. Maybe he cheated on her. But all I have to say is, it's a little fishy. Do you mean to tell me that you're not attracted to someone and you're just going to hold back from flirting with someone just because you're married, and then randomly decide to get a divorce and then get with that person right after the divorce? No. There's something there. I felt like Gwyneth Paltrow and Brad Falchuk had a little thing going on behind the scenes, and it inspired her to leave Chris Martin. I don't know if she left him or he left her, but I think it had a lot to do, or at least little to do, with her divorce from Chris Martin, because she was still married to him after Glee. So I'm just like, maybe if she had gotten divorced at the beginning of Glee, and then over time they just started dating, yeah, but no, they had the entire time that Glee was on air and all those guest appearances for her to flirt with him and then finally get the courage to leave her husband for him. Sorry, because you do not have a marriage that's a 13-year marriage with children involved and then get a divorce and be like, okay, relationship time. Okay, time to get married. No, I don't believe in that unless you already had something building, because from what I've seen, people who get a divorce just want to get back to themselves for a little bit and understand who they are alone. So, also, I was I was listening to that Showmance podcast with the cast of Glee, and they had a guest on it on one of the episodes, and guess who that guest was? Brad Falchuk. And I was listening to it, and they were asking him, how do you feel about Glee? Do you hate when people ask you about Glee and stuff like that? Because obviously he's worked on American Horror Story, like anything that Ryan Murphy works on now. I'm guessing Brad Falchuk and Ian Brennan, I want to say. They're like the little dream team of producers and co-creators of Glee. I guess they all like do it together. But he was saying like, no, I don't hate it. Like, I don't want to revive Glee or anything like that. Like, you just move on to the next project. You close that chapter, and it was like a good chapter. And he was like, some things I hated about it, other things I loved about it. And he was like, I met my wife on Glee. I met my wife because of Glee. And I was like, when I heard that, I was like, confirmed. There was an affair. He and Gwyneth Paltrow had an affair. Gwyneth cheated on Chris Martin. I knew it. No, I mean, you can't know for sure, but speculation. But I love to speculate. Anyway, what else? Let me talk about one more thing. I don't know. No, I think actually this is a good spot to end things right now. Unless I have anything else to talk about. I feel like I've been tweeting a lot recently. So I apologize for that. And I'm trying to think of like anything that I've tweeted that I'm like, I kind of want to talk about that. But no, I think the next show I'm going to start binge watching is One Tree Hill. I've never seen that show. I was old enough to watch it when it aired, but like I don't think I was old enough to care about like actors that much older than me at the time, so I didn't watch that. Also, I had started watching Laguna Beach again. That show was a lot. I mean, there's like very low energy on that show, but there's a lot going on there. I believe the first season started in 2004, and I didn't watch the first season when it had like originally aired, but I had gone to my mom's house in Arizona at the time in Fort Huachuca, and I don't know if it was 2004, 2005. I don't know, one of those summers. We had gone to visit my mom, and I was like up late, and they were playing a bunch of reruns, and it was Laguna Beach. And I was like, oh my God, annoying. And Mom was like, no, you've never seen this before? I was like, no. She's like, oh, it's so good. And I was like, okay. Like, I was in like 6th grade or 7th grade. And so I started watching it. I became obsessed because I'm from Southern California. I think Laguna Beach is like an hour from my hometown. I don't know. I haven't been in so long. I think you have to go on the Ortega Highway to get there, and that's like really scary. But I fell in love with that show, and I was team Kristen all the way because Kristen was that bitch. Maybe not anymore because she's a dumb bitch, because she was out there like at the Bahamas or some kind of resort during like coronavirus. But anyway, that was my bitch. I liked her better than Lauren Conrad, LC, because Lauren was like so boring to me. But fun fact, I love that show so much. Like, I've always wanted to live in Laguna Beach because of it. But my daughter's nickname actually came from that show because Lauren Conrad's best friend is Lauren Bosworth, but they called her Lo. I don't know why. Lauren, I don't know. But that was her nickname, and that's what they called her on the show, Lo. And I always thought that was so cute. And then when we named my little sister, who is actually 11 today, she just turned 11. We were thinking of names to give her, and we wanted to name her Ava Loren. And we got Loren from Sophia Loren, but it was actually my cousin who gave us that idea. And we were just like so obsessed with the middle name Loren. So I gave my daughter the middle name Loren, and it's spelled Loren. And I was like, oh my God, Lo for short. So cute, right? So yes, Laguna Beach is the reason we call my daughter Lo. And it's so cringy, and those kind of people are so annoying and just not my style anymore, because I no longer want to be like whitewashed. Yeah, back then I just wanted to be another like California white girl, because the area I was raised in was just, I mean, there weren't too many people of color there, and if there were, they were like me, very whitewashed and just assimilation station. But no, it's just super fun to watch again. But there are some things that were like, oh my God. And it's, of course, you can't be like, cancel them, because some things it's just like the times that we were in back then. But other things I'm like, no, I still don't like you. So there's a part where they said something, and they're like, oh my God, so-and-so is being R word. And you know what R word is, like speaking about, I don't know what the right word is, but I guess being ableist, you know, the R word. And then there was another part where the girl named Jen, she ended up being on The Hills, like an annoying character on The Hills. But there was a scene where she was going to go shopping with Lauren Conrad, and she's ranting about how her $200 straightener gets stepped on and broken the one time she doesn't put it away. And she's like, because, and it goes blank on the MTV app that I'm watching it on. And I was like, I don't remember it going blank. I remember her talking some shit and me being like, wow, she's such a fucking rich little cunt. Oh shit, I don't know if I can say that. Anyway, so me, like I said, investigating. I have to get the answers. Like, I just have to know. I don't care if it has no effect on me whatsoever. I just have to know, you know? So I was like, no, it sounds like they cut something out of the audio, because it was like talking, muted, and then talking. So I went and found one of those bootlegged websites and watched the episode. Fast forwarded to that part, and boom, I screen recorded it. She actually says that her mom fired her maid because she stole all their silverware. And I'm like, ew, that's such a like cunty thing to say. Like, my mom fired our maid because she stole all of our silverware. So like, I have a hard time like cleaning up after myself, is basically what she said. And now I'm like, I wonder why they cut that out. Like, yeah, it's really bad. It looks bad on her, but are they just like, what is it, retroactively cutting out like problematic shit? Or did she ask for that to be cut out because she sounded like a whiny little spoiled brat, or what? But I noticed things like that. And then what else? Oh God, I cannot talk about Laguna Beach without talking about the iconic line, "You guys, my car is donezo." Kristen Cavallari talks about her car overheating, and you feel bad because it's like an Isuzu, even though my parents never got me a fucking car in high school. You feel bad because it does look like a junky car compared to all the other Laguna Beach kids, because they're all super rich, in case you didn't know. And her car's like overheating on the road. I don't know if it's on the freeway or anything, but the cop comes and is just like, you can't move your car. She's like, no, it's overheated. Like, I can't turn it on. It doesn't move. And then when it like cuts to the scene where like she's freaking out about her car. She's just like, my car is donezo. And that's just like such a quotable line from that show. I love it. There's even a gift that goes along with it. And I thought I was the only one who always like thought of that line when I thought of Kristen on Laguna Beach. And then you find out that her fucking dad says, well, you better get used to this car because you're going to have it for the next 4 years. And the reason it broke down and overheated was because she didn't like put oil in it or change the oil. And her dad was like, I'm not going to reward you with a new car for like doing dumb shit or something like that. I don't know, but that's funny. So anyway, I hate how cameras and lighting make you look super pale. Like, I'm not this. No. I have a mirror right here and I don't look like that in the mirror. Yeah. So anyway, it's going to be an amazing month. August, I am manifesting that. August, I'm going to get all the positive answers to everything that's just kind of floating in the air right now. I'm excited because I do have some cool things in the works, but I'm just kind of twiddling my thumbs, waiting to hear back about it. And I'm calling it. August, I'm getting all the good news my way. Okay? So think about what you want for August. I advise you to get a reading if you can. If you're into that kind of stuff, I had got my first reading this month and holy shit, my friend Bex does an amazing job. I was so emotional. Everything she talked about in my month ahead reading was like exactly what happened. So that's all I have to say about that. Okay, I'm gonna go now because this is long enough. But I will try to make these regular episodes. I don't know how to put them on the podcast app for Apple. I don't know how to put them on. So I don't know how to do any of that. So for now, I think I'm just doing like video format. I'm filming myself on my phone and then just using my mic and everything. So these will probably just be on my YouTube channel. But thanks for listening if you stayed this long. Bye.